Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bridging Minds FSU ASUE Podcast Series on Armenian Entrepreneurship, where we spotlight innovation, resilience, and entrepreneurship across borders. I'm your host, Madison Miller, a research assistant at Florida State University's Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this initiative to amplify the voices of changemakers who are transforming ideas into impactful solutions. This podcast is made possible through the grant Promoting STEM and Social Entrepreneurship through American and Armenian Higher Education Collaboration from the United States Department of State. Also, I would like to highlight that the opinions, findings, and conclusions stated herein are those of our guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the United States Department of State. Today, I'm joined by Astghik Galstyan, founder of TeaYan Exclusive Herbal Tea. We'll dive into her journey, the challenges she's overcome, and the impact that she's making through innovation and purpose. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting, Madison.
I'm so excited to get to know you and learn more about your startup. So first, I would love for you to just tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and sort of how you got to where you are today.
Oh, this is the topic that I can talk about endlessly. So yes, my first profession is I'm a pharmacist, as everyone knows already. And I started my journey from Yerevan State Medical University. After that, I was working in a different international companies such as Novartis, GlaxoSmithKline, and so on. So this path was the main educational way that I got for myself, for my business in future, yes. And so after the jobs where I left, I understood one day that I have to have my own business. And that's the way my journey started as a businesswoman, I would say. But why teas? Because I learned about Armenian nature, Armenian herbs during all my life, because my father was also a pharmacist and a herbalist. So as I remember myself, I was in Armenian mountains gathering different herbs and helping my father to create his own business. So after growing up, I understood that the one thing I can do, it is making a good tea and selling good drugs. So combining these two habits of mine, I decided to create mainly tea business. And this is shortly about how I started.
That is so cool. That's such an interesting way to combine your two passions. What differentiates your tea from other teas on the market? Does it have more health benefits? And how are you able to take your background in pharmacy and implement it into the work that you're doing on your business?
You know, when I was starting, there wasn't any such herbal tea in Armenia, and I didn't met anywhere else, not only in Armenia, because when I searched market, I understood that we had only just gathered together in bulk. There were a lot of herbs in bulk were sold in supermarkets, also in pharmacies, only in pharmacies and supermarkets. They were not well packaged, they were not well presented, and no one in that time, this was 7 years ago, we found in 18th. No one at that time couldn't understand that people can not only drink that would be not only functional or tasty, it had to be also aesthetic, it had to be something special. And I wanted my clients, I wanted my customers to enjoy not only the taste of the tea, but also to witness how beautiful tea can be. And that's why we created handcrafted teas collection. And by measuring and dosaging each infuser bag, so we got unique bouquets, and each bouquet is created in each tea bag separately. So this is the main difference, of our teas. And as a result, we got like tea, which was very tasty, which was very healthy, because it was very important to me to combine all ingredients that have some certain pharmaceutical characteristics and so on. And also it was very presentable and very nice to give each other Christmas or on another holidays.
That is so cool. I know I love getting stuff like that as a gift as well, like teas and coffee and stuff. That's so nice.
I think that this ritual to make gifts in this field, TeaYan has its footprint.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were prototyping the first tea bags and the first ones that you were selling, what was that process like? Had you already had a similar product, or was it something that you had to sort of create from scratch and test with different people?
When we were starting, there was not such product as ours. So this was a kind of how we created dosed and balanced idea that teas can be also handcrafted, they can be dosed in each tea bag, they can be more aesthetic than another. So there was not something similar to that. And also the price was very high for that time. So it was also the main problem, and it is also the main problem now, because the self cost is very high for our teas, because we use only the best quality of everything that can be. And that's why this was very challenging to offer the market something very not similar to anything they were used to use. And that's why it was very hard to enter the market, but we could do this because our customers understood that this is a huge difference in quality.
That's really cool though. So when you were building your company, what were some different challenges or obstacles that you faced, and how are you able to overcome them and create the product that you have today?
Living in Armenia and creating something in Armenia is already the biggest challenge that business people have. So year by year, I feel it on my skin more and more that it is very hard to create and to do business in some country, and mainly production. What about manufacturing and production in a country which doesn't have seaways, or logistics is very hard from Armenia and to Armenia. So this is the main challenge, that we cannot export better than we could. So the main market is, after 7 years of our business, is remaining Armenia. But we are trying, and we have a lot of success abroad, not only in Armenia. And our main idea is to spread Armenian smell through all over the world, and we are doing everything for that. And for me, the challenges are not an obstacle. Yeah, the challenges are something that have to be overcome. And from this point of view, I think that the more challenges you have, the stronger you are, and maybe even the more successful you are.
Absolutely. I love that perspective. And especially with entrepreneurship, you're solving a problem. So having challenges is something that is sort of in the nature of it. But I love that perspective on it, because some people see it as something negative. But I think that the fact that you see it as something positive is something that really contributes to being successful.
Sure, we have to adapt ourselves in an environment that we're living, that we're doing the business. So this is just the normal flow.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a woman entrepreneur, I think that sometimes we have different challenges that men do in this field. Were there any times when you felt like things were maybe a little bit more difficult because you were a woman, and how did you push through that and prove people wrong?
I didn't feel any problems in this field because stronger than women. Mm-hmm. This is not a secret. And surely they are more risky, they are more confident, and even in a lot of business environments where I am doing something, I feel that if I were a man, my business will be better than I'm a woman. Yes, I understand this. But as my husband is helping me a lot, his help is huge. So he is our financial and my best colleague. So I feel the support, and nothing is impossible to me when I have such support.
That's amazing. I love that. I think that having work-life balance is so important, and having that support, it really does make a huge difference. Do you have any advice about how to handle balancing dealing with your company and also keeping up with family and friends and maintaining that support system for entrepreneurs? Because I think sometimes in the beginning it can be a lot.
Yes, this is very hard to keep this balance, but when you love each other, just simply when you love each other, everything is possible. Because, for example, my old colleagues and my husband as well understand that I am the director of this company and I decide all our steps about processes. And I also, from myself, understand that he's the financial director and all the financial processes should be done by him. So we just respect each other, and we always differentiate when we are talking about business, when we are talking about family. So even our dress code is different. For example, we can just sit together in the evenings, drink some tea and talk about only the business that time. For example, this is our meeting, like business meeting. And no one can interrupt us when we are talking about business. So just respect and love.
I love that. That's amazing. So when you were first starting your journey, I'm sure there was a lot of different things that happened along the way. Do you have any advice for your younger self? You know, the person that had this idea and decided to start the company. Would you have any advice for yourself in the beginning of your journey?
Yes, I have a lot of advices to myself, because even though I was very confident, even though I had a lot of knowledges about business, about marketing, sales, and pharmacy and everything, yes, I had a huge background. Even though I felt very inconfident, I didn't believe to my success. I believed in deep in my heart, but I was afraid. And everything I was doing was very slow and very calculated. So I couldn't do any mistake because I didn't have any resources, such like money. Yeah, I didn't have any chance to fail. So I would just advise me to be more brave, to not too afraid, and to be faster than I was previously, because being faster is also very important, because business doesn't love to wait. It goes in very fast steps, so you have to just manage to do everything. So be faster, be braver, and care about your health. It is also very important.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves sometimes when we have so many things that we're passionate about and working on. So I think we have time for about one more question. This is sort of similar to the last one, but a lot of the people who are viewing this podcast are students currently studying entrepreneurship or hoping to start a business. Do you have any advice for them? Is there any advice that you would offer those students who have an idea but maybe don't know where to start or don't know how to take it off the ground?
Yeah, well, so I would advise them the same that I would advise myself 7 years ago. Take risks and not too afraid when you are confident that you can do this, because you have to have a lot of knowledges. You have to have everything to be confident, because not only money, but also your knowledge is the key to success. And I don't speak about passion. I don't speak about that you have to want it a lot of, you have to have a lot of knowledge. What are you doing?
Absolutely. That's such good advice. I think that we get so caught up in passion as we forget to.
Yeah, sure. But a lot of people are doing business, are making teas, but they even don't know where thyme grows, for example. And that's why you have to know everything about your product, about everything to success.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your story with us. Your journey in entrepreneurship is a powerful reminder that innovation doesn't start with a great idea, but it grows through resilience, knowledge, creativity, and a passion for solving real world problems. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Bridging Minds, the FSU ASUE Podcast Series on Armenian entrepreneurship. We hope that today's episode inspired you to think boldly, build collaboratively, and believe in your ability to make a difference. Stay with us for more stories from innovators and entrepreneurs who are building bridges between education, technology, and social impact across Armenia and across the world. Until next time, I'm Madison Miller. Keep creating, keep questioning, and keep pushing forward.